Trolls uninvited. Why they be coming here with all their nonsense, typing little tantrums like they're building some suspense, messing up the cool vibe, raining on the scene, acting like the internet's a middle school canteen.
Sad little lurkers with their bargain bin rage, throwing cheap insults from a lonely little cage, stirring up the pot but adding nothing new, just a cloud of grumpy blah blah breaking through.
Oh no, here they go again, another keyboard warrior looking for a friend, but misery ain't company tonight. We're dancing in electric light. No more trolls,
No more moody blues,
no more sour faces spreading bad reviews.
no more trolls. Take your drama home.
This is joy and glitter, not your grumble dome.
Hey, hey, get a life.
Find a hobby, ride a bike,
Call your mama, touch some grass.
maybe learn a little class.
No more trolls tonight.
What is missing from their lives anyway?
Did nobody hug them back in the day?
Did mama and pa not spank them enough?
Now they act online like they're hilariously tough,
Internet goblins lurking after dark.
leaving cranky comments like aggressive little sharks.
Is the web the only joy they ever find?
Posting nasty bow while they slowly lose their minds.
So please, not another speech from Captain Negative. Preach, preach, preach.
Your Debbie Downer energy's expired.
This party is way too bright to get tired.
No more trolls, no more doom and gloom.
You can take that funky attitude right out the room.
No more trolls, no more bitter souls.
We got happy hearts and glitter disco gold.
Hey, hey, read the sign.
Good vibes only all the time.
If you came to wreck the fun.
Sorry, babe, your time is done.
No more trolls tonight.
Uh-oh. Somebody's typing in all caps again.
Should we panic?
Nah. Maybe take a nap.
Maybe get a snack.
Maybe realize the world.
Doesn't need your endless flag.
We're too busy laughing,
Too busy alive
too busy dancing.
to kill the vibe. No more trolls. Let the good times roll.
Turn the neon higher, let the positivity flow.
No more trolls. Bye bye gloomy crew.
There's no room for misery when the beat is this cool.
Hey, hey, move along.
Go complain somewhere else online.
This is joy and happiness, not your dour sour mess. No more trolls tonight. No more trolls. No more trolls.
Log off, babe.
And save your soul.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hey folks, welcome back to the program there. How's things? How y'all doing? I've got a bunch of stuff opening up on me right here. I'm gonna cancel this. Hang on a second. All right, there we go. That's okay. We're back to it now. How's the sound? All right, there we go. Okay, welcome back on this Thursday, May 14th, 2026. As we head into the final weekend of United Rugby Championship action, Stormers must win, must get a bonus point, and hope that Glasgow falls short of that so that they can win the top spot and take a home quarter, a home semi, and hopefully the final at DHL Greenpoint Stadium on the 20th of June. That's the hope. That's the plan. We'll see if it happens. We'll be doing it without Dion Free after his knee was destroyed last week by Ian Henderson in a reckless tackle for which he's not paid any severe sanction yet. Meanwhile, there is a severe sanction for a South African rugby player. We're going to talk about that today. Here's the situation, folks. We are going now to provide you a insight into Lutuli House. And here we are at the NEC meeting last night. Well, what do we do? How can we distract from this? What is going on? We've got to get the attention off of Cyril's back. We can't let him go. He's a useful idiot for us here. He's the teddy bear face of all the evil communism we want to impose on South Africans. What can we do? And of course, Gwede Mantashe, well, we could have a sacrificial lamb. There's plenty of us here who could be sacrificed, other than me, of course. How about Tokloshi? Yeah, she's in a lot of trouble. Why don't we sacrifice her? I think that's a great idea. So today, President Cyril Ramaphosa sacked his minister, who's embroiled in multiple scandals, none of which he paid any attention to whatsoever, until Cyril found himself in the crosshairs of an impeachment. And as any competent politician would do, he finds something to distract you from what's going on around him. Yes, indeed. That's what's happening today. Nick Groves gave a 35 Rand super chat for rent. Thank you for that, Nick. How you doing? You've been quiet lately. Good to see you there. All right, folks, there you go. So that was a look in on Lutuli House.
That was easy.
Indeed it was. We just had a little preview of what happened last night at Lutuli House, the headquarters of the African National Congress. Just a moment for a brief beverage pause here. Just a second. V8. 2.5 servings of vegetables right there for the whole day. Got my veggies. No food sock, but V8. Those who have acid reflux won't like that. It's a tomato-based drink. Anyway. Right. Of course, he refused to answer a lot of questions in Parliament today. People are probably wondering what kind of T-shirt I have on. Well, this is the T-shirt. I'll show you. Picked it up yesterday. Carlisle Barracks. DD-214, United States veteran. So DD-214 is your discharge paper. That's the Department of Defense 214 form. It's been used for decades, and that's when you get out of the military, you get one of those. I have several. I was active duty, went into the left, got one there, went into the National Guard, got a couple of those. They're not DD-14s, but similar forms for discharge. Discharge from the Guard, back in active duty. Haley Hermander, 200 Rand. Thank you for that, Haley. I'll get to turn on the alert box. It's off because we had an interview on. Sorry about that, Haley. Thank you so much for that. Someone lost livestock. Steve Biko Hospital refused to treat you because you're white. Well, that's unjust racial persecution. Wow. That is unfortunate and wrong. Morally wrong. Chat is doing okay. It's at 15. It's been higher. So not too bad. All right, let's get to the news, folks. So Western Cape flooding has been a true disaster, a real problem for folks in the Western Cape. And let's talk about that as we get into the news here on this Thursday, the 14th of May, 2026. Western Cape flood disaster, 10 people dead. Fortunately, that number hasn't climbed since I reported yesterday. And 90,000 displaced. Residents of the Western Cape are now picking up the pieces after adverse weather battered the province, resulting in 10 deaths and 90,000 people displaced. Western Cape MEC for Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, Anton Bradel, said the Western Cape Government's Joint Operations Center confirmed that while weather conditions across the province improved, emergency response and recovery operations remained at a critical level. And they confirmed 10 fatalities. Widespread flooding across informal settlements. Perhaps people should get the hint and move back to where they came from instead of living in these informal, illegal settlements. 2,000 people in the Cape Winelands alone, with additional evacuation and shelter operations ongoing across multiple districts. ASCOM reported restoration of electricity and other essential services is underway. Health service remain operational in most areas. The provincial government, municipalities, and partner organizations remain fully mobilized. Here's the city of Cape Town's Fire and Rescue Services and Metro Rescue on the scene trying to remove tree from a vehicle. My goodness. That's horrible. That looks like Hermanus. Or I mean, not Hermanus, Stellenbosch. Authorities have warned that the several river systems in the province are experiencing high flow volumes. The Clan William Dam is at over 100% full, with all sluices open. Downstream communities are being monitored to ensure public safety. Here's several homes suffering significant rooftop damages. Gale force winds swept through Windberg. Wow. The number of those 3,628 people across West Cape displaced are being housed in community halls, 823 in West Coast, 2,200 in Cape Winelands, 315 in Overberg, and 290 in the Garden Route. In the city of Cape Town, 85,512 people and 22,146 homes have been impacted. My goodness. Department funds 5 humanitarian relief organizations: Mustafadin Foundation, the Salvation Army, Community Crest, the Western Cape, the Al-Amidid Foundation, and For Africa for post-disaster support. This is in Strand right there. Sad situation. Sir Ramaphosa has fired his disgraced Social Development Minister, Sisi Tolashi. Minister of the Presidency for Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities, Sindizwe Chikungwa, has been appointed acting minister pending a full-time appointment. Yes, in the statement issued this afternoon, Ramaphosa's office said he had removed her from her position in terms of Section 91, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution. In the interim, President Ramaphosa has appointed Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities, Sindiziwe Chikungwa, as the acting minister in the portfolio, pending a full-time appointment in due course. Tolashe is out. She is the sacrificial lamb to save Cyril's backside. She is the sacrificial lamb. Ramaphosa appointed Cindy Chikungwa. A developing story. Indeed it is. And there she is, Jabba the Hutt herself. Ha ha ha! Solo! She's facing mounting pressure on several fronts. Parliamentary replies and media investigations indicate that she failed to disclose 2 vehicles donated to ANC Women's League, of which she is president. The cars were later passed on to her children, and she's just stolen things. So there you go. She's out. Long overdue. And, of course, the Daily Maverick also covers the story. Rebecca Davis actually is the one covering the story. Yep. The suspension follows the findings of the Public Service Commission, which investigated the irregular appointment of this is her special advisor who falsified his CV. Yep. The PSC preliminary report concluded that Khatla was partially responsible for falsifying Mabijita's CV to make her appear qualified for a post for which she was manifestly unfit. Well, that would basically be pretty much most people in this current bureaucracy are manifestly unfit for what they're doing, and that is why things are so screwed up in South Africa. Well, it appears that Jordan Hill-Lewis asked Ramaphosa to fire her. Wow. Newly elected DA leader Jordan Hill-Lewis has asked President Ramaphosa to fire Social Development Minister Sisi Tolashi. Well, she has been fired. So he asked after months of controversy. But he's only been the leader of the party for a short time. South Africa's white Minister of Agriculture apparently never asked Ramaphosa to fire her. I guess he was okay with it. But Jordan Hill-Lewis showing his chops early into it. Well, the president spoke and answered questions in Parliament today, and the Economic Freedom Fighters and the Mkhonto weSizwe party got up and walked out because they were angry at his refusal to answer questions that they were posing. Speaker Toko Didiza ruled that members could not speak on matters outside the official agenda. Many of them wanted to address the Constitutional Court ruling on Palapala. And that leaves the question, why does Toko Didiza not include that on the agenda? Because they're protecting Ramaphosa, once again, misusing positions of authority to protect corrupt or accused corrupt officials in government. This is the African National Congress. What more can you say? Jacob Zuma's arms trial will finally proceed after 2.5 decades of Stalingrad tactics. The KwaZulu-Natal High Court has ordered Jacob Zuma's arms deal corruption trial must proceed, dismissing efforts to stall the case through a series of interlocutory applications. The trial against Zuma and French arms company Thales has been set down to begin on 1 February 2027. Let's assume that Jacob Zuma is still alive then, with 2 court sessions running until 20 June 2027. National Prosecuting Authorities welcome the ruling, saying it sets a clear precedent against the so-called Stalingrad tactics that allow wealthy accused individuals to delay justice indefinitely. It sets a clear precedent 26 years later, 27 years later. Yep, he has never been prosecuted for his alleged criminal activity. Charges were laid in 2003, dropped in 2009, reinstated in 2017. And here we are, 23 years after charges were first preferred against a crime that occurred 27 years ago. Yep. Remember that Judge Hillary Squires found found Jacob Zuma to be guilty, but he wasn't before him in court. Otherwise, he would have prosecuted him. The Patriotic Alliance has nabbed a DA ward council seat in a historic by-election in Northern Cape. The PA has new councillor in the David Kruiper municipality. It took the ward from the DA during a by-election. Patriotic Alliance won a ward off the DA in a key by-election in the David Kuiper municipality. Election analyst Wayne Sussman told News 24 the victory was historic because the PA had received only 63 votes across 17 wards in the district in 2021. That includes Uppington. It had only gotten 63 votes in the last election. Wow. Now they've got 1,115 in a single ward. On Wednesday, the party won 37.53% of the vote, 1,115 votes. The ANC came in second. The DA, which had the seat, placed a distant third at 858 votes. Turnout was 63%. The new PA councillor is Christy Ann Nlatganisu. The party would be delighted with their win over its rivals, the DA. Wow, that's a big win for the PA. Again, the DA is in free fall, and they don't even see it. In the entire district, not just this ward, they had only had 83 votes in the last election. This by-election, they got 1,150. The DA is going to be destroyed in the Northern Cape, in the Western Cape, in the Eastern Cape by colored voters. By the way, let's just be clear right now. Whether we like or dislike Jordan Hill-Lewis, we will likely be unable to blame him for the DA's failures this November 4th. Let's just say that right now. I'm going to say it now. Unless he makes a major stumble, which makes things worse, Jordan Hill-Lewis is not responsible for the decline of the DA in November. You heard it here, May 14th, June, July, August, September, October. 6 months before the election, I'm telling you, unless he makes a major stumble, he is not responsible. Not responsible. Oh, Helen was on the Truth Report with Joe. Well, she hasn't been on with me. Yeah, so unless he makes a major stumble, the person responsible for the debacle that will be November 4th for the Democratic Alliance is South Africa's white Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen. He's the man responsible for it. Anyway, congratulations to the PA. Erica, that tree incident was just down the road where I live. Yep, a person lost her life. It wasn't in Stellenbosch. Okay, thank you for that, Erica. And I said it looked like Stellenbosch. Thank you for the 70 Rand. It's kind of you. You're right. If they vote against that's why I said a major stumble. Future looks bright. I said a major stumble. That would be a major stumble. Solly Malatsi is going to try to get around the court's, the ICASA ruling. He plans to do an ECA overhaul that could open the door for Starlink. Minister of Communications Solly Malatsi said his department will continue to pursue changes to the Electronic Communications Act, which could pave the way for Starlink to get around this ridiculous racist requirements. Sound like monkeys. Minister's comments come after Independent Communications Authority ICASA said it would not recognize EEIPs under the current law. Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium will continue to host events despite the fact that the storms have damaged it severely. Look at that tarp that's been ripped off. Section Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium sustained damage following recent heavy winds and rain. The Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium's canvas, leaf, and cable section were damaged by recent heavy winds and rain, but management says the roof remains sound and damage appears superficial. Well, I hope so. Planned events including a Premier Soccer League clash between Chipping United and the Golden Arrows and a highly anticipated Springboks versus Barbarians fixture on June 20th. They will go on as scheduled. We'll see what happens. Cynthia Shange, who defied apartheid at a beauty pageant, has passed away at the age of 76. The first black South African to enter the Miss World contest, placing in the top 5 in 1972. Of course, she did not represent South Africa in 1972. She represented a non-existent country called Africa South. Cynthia Shange, who at the height of apartheid was the first black woman from South Africa to compete in Miss World Beauty pageant, placing in the top 5 in 72, and becoming an enduring symbol of glamour and resistance, died April 20th in KwaZulu-Natal. She was 76. Diabetes. Here she is back in the day. She raised her fist in the Black Power salute, forever brandishing her as someone that many people won't be able to support. So here she is with the actual contestant, Miss World Competition 1972. The official contestant was Stephanie Reinecke on the right. And Cynthia Shange represented Africa South, having earned her spot by winning a beauty contest for mixed race or black South Africans. So, Cynthia Feliciwe Shange was born in 1949 in Lamontville, South Africa, one of 4 daughters and 2 sons to Ivy and Dick Shange. She was spotted by a scout and as a teenager encouraged to compete in a local beauty pageant. So she's passed away at the age of 76. Well, and here is the bad news. And quite frankly, I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting tired of South African athletes who are cheating. This is not a look that we need for South African rugby. Asenate Labakanye is the latest to cheat. Asenate Labakanye is banned for 18 months from rugby for doping. The ban runs from yesterday until November 13th of next year. Springbok and Lions prop Asenate Labakanye has been banned for 18 months following a hearing into his failed test. He has failed his drug test. Yep, this is getting quite old, folks. This is not the first South African. We've had others. The Independent Doping Tribunal panel ruled that his ban would run until 13 November next year. Urine sample tested positive for hormone anastrozole during an out-of-competition test May 22nd, a year ago. That does not warrant a mandatory suspension, but he voluntarily declared that he used a prohibited anabolic steroid DHEA, and he was charged in September. The shocking outcome of the Labakanye case. It's not shocking. Cheating is cheating. The Independent Doping Tribunal handed down its decision. In a statement on Thursday, the body said the player's urine sample tested positive for the hormone and metabolic modulator anastrozole. In terms of South African anti-doping rules, the substance classified as a specified substance does not warrant a mandatory suspension, but the player also self-declared the use of prohibited anabolic steroid. Yep. The Lions swiftly responded with a statement of their own in the wake of the 18-month ban. Lions Rugby Company confirms it has received communication from South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport regarding the decision to sanction Lions prop Asenate Labakanye for a period of 18 months following anti-doping rule. Lions Company, together with My Players, the Rugby Players Organization, will deliberate on the appropriate next steps. During this time, the Lions Rugby Company will continue to support Labakanye as he navigates the process ahead. Well, this is not good. These people give South African rugby a bad name, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Human Rights Watch report accuses M23 and the Rwandan army of rape and executions in eastern DRC, carrying out 53 summary executions of fleeing civilians. M23 rebels and the Rwandan army carried out killings, rapes, and abductions during a month-long occupation in eastern DRC in late 2025 and early 2026. They briefly captured the city of Uvira in December and withdrew weeks later under pressure from the U.S. Human Rights Watch documented 53 summary executions, 8 rapes, and 12 enforced disappearances committed by the rebels. Fighters shot at fleeing civilians and went door-to-door targeting men and boys accused of links to the government. Wow. Not good. Zimbabwe is planning to hand back some farms to foreign nationals. The return of 67 seized farms to foreign nationals points to Harari's search for goodwill as it seeks investment, debt relief, and diplomatic rehabilitation. Emerson Mnangagwa came to power in 2017 in a coup that forced Mugabe to resign. Since then, Zimbabwe's president has treated Robert Mugabe's legacy with care. But a recent measure by his government, rather unexpected and ambiguous, looks at first like a repudiation of Mugabe's land theft. Those close to power insist it was no such thing. The government has told Parliament it intends to return 67 farms to former foreign owners who lost them in the 2000s under Mugabe's theft. The agriculture minister said those affected include farmers of German, Dutch, Danish, and Swiss origin. Harare presents the decisions as a goodwill gesture designed to settle disputes that have lingered far too long. But those farms have largely lain idle for 20 years. The former owners resuming productive farming will be hard given both the condition of land and the deterioration of infrastructure, not to mention the loss, and you can't trust these racist pigs who murder white people just for sport. I would never take back a farm in Zimbabwe unless that government was removed. Zimbabweans lured into Russia's war. No, they went there because they wanted money. Families calling governments in Moscow and Harare to secure the return of loved ones from Ukrainian front lines. Not exactly real soldiers. Look at this idiot with a loaded rifle pointing forward. Elvis Sitchea remains deeply unsettled by the sudden departure of his brother Dumisani to Russia in 2026. Dumisani left in complete secrecy without telling the family until a shocking text arrived from an international number. "Hi, brother, I'm in Russia now. It's me, Dumisani." He was unemployed for a long time and tried to settle in South Africa, but it didn't work out. He returned home last December. By January, he was gone. Weeks later, the family received more troubling news. A neighbor who had traveled with Dumisani was killed in Ukraine, where Russia's been waging full-scale war. I'm appalled, appealing to Zimbabwe and Russian governments to work together to bring our brothers home. No, they're mercenaries. Timu military forces, exactly right. They're mercenaries, and they're getting paid for what they're doing, and so why should anybody bring them back? They should never have gone. Rwanda's Paul Kagame is stepping on very thin ice. Addressing this year's African Summit for Business Leader, Rwanda's president pushes for Pan-African unity to stand up to the United States and other perceived global bullies in the race to exploit Africa's riches. Well, first off, to Paul Kagame, you murderous dictator who's been in power for decades. Well, murderous is a bit overstatement, but you democracy, human rights stealing dictator who's been in power and should have left office a long time ago. You calling the U.S. a bully. Okay, all right. Let's take a look at your actions at Eastern Congo in Kivu. All right, let's take a look at that. And before you push this button to try to insult the United States, think very hard. Your entire healthcare system is funded by the U.S. government. Without it, your country is on its ass. So really stupid decision by Paul Kagame to insult America. This, of course, comes after America has sanctioned those involved in murderous actions. Rwandan President Kagame opened the largest private sector gathering in Africa with a sharp critique of how the United States and other global powers interact with the continent. Addressing an audience of 2,800 global business leaders, this is a conference I considered going to. The geopolitical landscape is one where Africa is rich in everything except leverage. Well, no, you're not rich in democracy, you're not rich in freedom, you're not rich in life expectancy, you're not rich in education, you're not rich in everything. That's a lie. You're rich in natural resources. Situation where the powers that be are holding a whip in their hands, using a stick to beat up whoever they want to beat up. They're not even hiding it. It's out in the open, he said, in unmistakable reference to Donald Trump. These powers you see that come here lecturing people on democracy and human rights, they're doing it with one arm, and with the other, they're just taking away everything that people own. What a total load of absolute horseshit. What a total load of horseshit. Paul Kagame's got, I don't know what he's got in his mouth, but it's not teeth. It's nonsense. Nobody takes anything. People purchase these things. You don't want to sell it, then don't sell it. Yeah, Africa's also rich in criminals and human rights violators. Yes. The fire remarks drew widespread applause and approving laughter from attendees of the Mass Kigali. Well, you know what? Screw Africa. I'm tired of you ingrate bastards getting a free ride for loans and grants and infrastructure and free access to marketplaces only to act like asshats like this. You know what? Screw Africa. Screw you all. Screw you all. You deserve nothing. And you'll get nothing. Yikes. The U.S. government, skipping this year's forums, had sanctioned Rwandan military back in March. The sanctions come amid an explosion of DRC mineral sales to the USA, with copper exports sextupling between 2024 and 2025. He says sometimes sanctions are just applied in the case of one who provides less than the other. Well, dipshit, Paul Kagame, you don't provide copper. So what's your point? You're just ass burnt because you've been caught murdering and raping people in Eastern Congo. And we've had enough of it. So the Clinton administration looked the other way. The Bush administration looked the other way. The Obama administration looked the other way. Trump didn't even pay any attention to it. And then Biden looked the other way. Now Trump is calling you out for the murderous actions your regime has perpetrated in Eastern Congo. And your military is being sanctioned for its war crimes. And because of that, you lead a cheerleading contest to insult America. You know what? You're an ingrate little prick. That's what you are, Paul Kagame. Shame on you. You and your buddy across the border there, Yuvary Museveni, preach democracy. There's no democracy there. There's no true democracy anywhere in Africa. Stop pretending there is. Speaking of that neighbor, Uganda's Museveni begins his 7th term amid election fraud claims and opposition crackdown. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni was inaugurated at Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala, extending his 40-year rule after winning 71.65% of the vote in a rigged election. Human Rights Watch reported intensified crackdowns on the opposition National Unity Platform, including mass arrests, disappearance of senior leaders, and multiple deaths. Since taking power in 1986, he's twice altered the Constitution, removed term and age limits, despite once criticizing African leaders who overstay their welcome. This is because Yoweri Museveni and Paul Kagame are not Democrats. They are not leaders. They are autocrats who crave power and will never leave office. Never leave office. Never leave office. Well, Mali's Tuareg rebel chief says Kidal is only the beginning of the Azawad offensive. In an exclusive interview following the capture of Kidal, Al-Khabas Ag Intala, leader of the Tuareg rebel group FLA, defends his alliance with the jihadists of Jainim and calls for the overthrow of the Malian junta. For Bamako, he's at the top of their hit list, hidden behind dark glasses with his face wrapped in a turban scarf, seated in the shade of a courtyard in the house where he received our sister magazine Jeune Afrique on May 5th. Al-Ghabas Ag Intala takes great care to project an air of calm. Nevertheless, the fighters from the Front de Libération de Al-Awazan, positioned around the building, scanning the horizon with Kalashnikov's hands, show that the Tuareg leader knows he's under threat. His decision to base himself several dozen kilometers from Kidal rather than the highly symbolic city itself, which they seized on April 26 following an offensive, is further proof. So, this is one of the rebel groups, and it's the Tuaregs. Not black Africans, but Tuaregs. China tightens its grip on Africa's lithium as U.S.-linked miner exits Africa's critical minerals race. China is expanding its influence across West Africa's fast-growing lithium sector as U.S.-linked miner retreats from the region. Zhejiang Huao Cobalt is acquiring full control and funding of Ghana's Iwoyo lithium project, offering $210 million to buy Atlantic Lithium. Wow. Atlantic Lithium last week announced that they intend to acquire all issued shares of the company at 25 cents a share in cash, which valued the miner at just $210 million. Transaction would further expand the Chinese African lithium footprint after its $422 million acquisition of Zimbabwe's Arcadia Lithium project in 2022. Wow. Beyond Ghana and Zimbabwe, Chinese companies expand aggressively into West Africa's lithium sector, particularly in Mali. So the Chinese are going after all the lithium. That's crazy. Iran claims that they've allowed dozens of Chinese-owned ships and others to pass through the Strait of Hormuz under their so-called management protocols. Iran's Foreign Minister Araghchi has denounced the U.S. and Israel for expansionism and warmongering, saying instability in the Middle East is a lose-lose proposition for all sides, including the aggressors. Well, the aggressors are Iran, who attacked Iraq, who attacked shipping in the Persian Gulf, who attacked all their neighbors recently. That is the aggressor Iran, and they need to be having their wind clipped. Well, the October 7th attackers could face the death penalty after Israel approves a war crimes tribunal. They could face the death penalty? Seriously? Why would that even be a question? They should be executed straight on. Hundreds of Hamas militants accused of committing war crimes during the October 2023 attack could face the death penalty after Israel late Monday approved the creation of a special military tribunal to prosecute their cases. The Israeli Parliament on Monday approved its second and third readings of the bill titled Prosecution Law for the October 7th Massacre. Legislation creates a dedicated tribunal operating as a military court to handle the prosecution of roughly 400 Hamas operatives from the elite Nukba force who have been held in Israel since the attack. So they got 400 of them. Yulia Malinkovsky, one of the bill's sponsors and a lawmaker from the opposition Israeli Betanu party, compared the tribunal to a modern Eichmann trial, referring to the 1961 trial of top Nazi official Adolf Eichmann. Yeah. Wow. So, we even have to question this? OPEC oil production has plunged 30% since the start of the Iran war. The 12-member cartel anticipates global oil demand will remain robust this year, but production may not be. Crude oil production has declined by more than 30%. Output fell from 1.7 million barrels per day in April after production levels dropped by 7.9 billion barrels per day in March. So down by over nearly 10 million barrels. In total, OPEC output sits at nearly 19 million barrels a day, down from 28.65 before the war. Saudi Arabia registered the sharpest decline in April with a loss of 958,000 barrels a day, followed by Kuwait, 561,000, Iraq, 291,000, and Iran, 211,000. UAE withdrew from the 12-member cartel, posted an increase of 131,000 barrels a day. And that's the last time they'll be part of the report. Gasoline stockpiles have fallen by 4.084 million barrels. Malaysia slams Norway for revoking an export license for a naval missile system. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim Thursday condemned Norway's move to revoke export license for a naval missile system from Malaysia's Navy, warning it could damage confidence in European defense suppliers. Anwar said he raised Malaysia's vehement objection during a phone call with Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre after Oslo blocked delivery of the naval strike missile system and launcher components intended for Malaysia's littoral combat ship program. Malaysia has honored every obligation under its contract since 2018, scrupulously, faithfully, and without equivocation. Norway, it appears, has not felt compelled to extend to us the same courtesy and demonstration of good faith. The missile manufacturer Kongsberg Defence and Aerospace said export licensing decisions are handled entirely by Norwegian authorities. Malaysian Defense Minister Mohammed Khalid Nordin told local media the government had already paid nearly 95% of the contract value when Oslo blocked delivery in March. Why have the Norwegians blocked the sale of defensive missiles to Malaysia? Could it be because China pressured the Norwegians? I don't know. It's a good question. Honda just had its worst year, its first loss ever since being a publicly traded company. Japanese carmaker reports annual loss, first one ever, after giving up electric vehicles in the U.S. and its China business implosion. On Thursday, Honda reported its first annual loss as a listed company, equivalent of $2.7 billion, and they cite electric vehicle losses equivalent to about $10 billion after giving up on its main EV plans in the U.S. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what have I told you? Ford lost billions of dollars. This EV fairy tale is nonsense. It's a toy for rich people, nothing more. It's not a useful form of transportation, and it's disastrous for the environment. Honda canceled plans for 3 electric cars, said it would sell in the U.S. a sport utility vehicle sedan and a luxury Acura model. So here's their stock performance. The Nikkei has gone up by 60%, and Honda has gone down by 10%. Honda sales in China have fallen by more than half in the past 5 years, going from 1.6 million down to just over 600,000. 1 million fewer vehicles sold in China than they were selling just 6 years ago, before the COVID scam. Their global sales are largely steady at 3.39 million vehicles, which offset their losses in China with gains in North America. So here is Honda's net profit. Never once had a loss in the entire history as a publicly traded company since 1957, making $4 billion in 2019, nearly $3 billion in 2020, $4 billion, $4 billion, $4 billion, $7 billion, $5 billion, and this year losing nearly $3 billion. Wow. Not looking good for the Honda. President Xi strikes an aggressive tone on Taiwan as U.S. holds firm on arms sales. This is the meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping last night. The U.S. must exercise extra caution in handling the Taiwan question. If it is handled properly, the bilateral relationship will enjoy overall stability. Otherwise, two countries will have clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. Threats from the Chinese over Taiwan. They feel emboldened, and Trump should be resilient and tell them to go screw themselves. We will have relations with what countries we want to. You have no say in our relations. His warning on Taiwan, he and Trump then struck up a positive tone after that. Xi Jinping delivered a warning on Taiwan as they met for the summit. Talks that followed lasted for more than 2 hours. At an ornate state banquet in the Great Hall, Mr. Xi said the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and making America great again can go hand in hand. He thanked Mr. Trump for a magnificent welcome Trump thanked him for a magnificent welcome like no other. Invited Mr. Xi to visit the White House on September 24th. But China is threatening us. He warns Trump over potential Taiwan conflict. Chinese President Xi Jinping warned President Trump Thursday with clashes and even conflicts over Taiwan. Get stuffed. Chinese firms are plotting secret arms sales to Iran, according to U.S. officials. So here is the real China, not the nice hand of love that was handed out to Trump when he arrived. Chinese companies have been discussing arms sales with Iran, plotting to send the weapons through other countries to mask the origins of military aid. The United States has gathered intelligence that Chinese companies and Iranian officials have discussed arms transfers. Yep, once again, the Chinese up to no good. Pressure mounting on UK's Keir Starmer as a key ally has quit. The resignation of Health Secretary Wes Streeting sets the stage for formal leadership challenge. So Streeting is now going to challenge Sir Keir for leadership of the bankrupt Labour Party. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday faced growing pressure to step down as one of his most senior cabinet ministers quit, a move that boosts odds with Keir Starmer. So, sorry, I'm dealing with trolling. Starmer's in trouble. Russia hammers Ukraine with the biggest prolonged drone attack since the war began. Devastating attack by Russians. Huge wave of Russian strikes overnight targeted Ukraine's capital, Kiev, killing at least 8 people and injuring 44 others. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia fired more than 1,560 drones on Ukraine since the start of Wednesday, making it the largest aerial attack on Ukraine in a 2-day period since the war began. 56 missiles were also launched overnight. Air raid alarms sounded for roughly 11 hours through Wednesday and overnight. That's a 9-story residential building. At least 7 people were killed there. Horrific situation. This war needs to end. Joe Biden's war needs to end. Venezuela is embarking on a $150 billion restructuring of its debt amid political turmoil. Well, they'll probably pull it off because people want Venezuelan oil, and therefore they're probably willing to restructure their debt. But interim President Delcy Rodriguez there, the Venezuelan government announced yesterday that it has begun a comprehensive orderly process for restructuring its enormous sovereign and state oil company debt. Venezuela demonstrated solvency throughout the years, fully complying with international obligations. This capacity and willingness to meet our financial obligations was impeded from 2017 onwards as a result of financial sanctions. Well, no, it's not because of financial sanctions, because you're a corrupt government. Well, General Kane's silence on the Iran war leaves questions about military strategy. General Dan Kane, is facing some headwinds in Congress. In nearly 14 hours of congressional testimony in recent weeks, General Kane has repeatedly asked versions of the same 2 questions. How had the world's most powerful military allowed the Iranians to cut off the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz? And what could it do to get ships moving again? The answer is delivered in a tightrope he's walking. He said our military objectives have been clear the whole time. He talked about targeting Iran's ballistic missile system, destroying its Navy and defense industrial base. But he avoided any discussion of the broader U.S. strategy. Did you anticipate the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the resulting impact on oil supplies? And he responded by saying, we have incredible staff at the Pentagon. Always look to range military branches and sequels. Won't comment in particular because that gets advice, whatever I may or may not give to give the president. Yeah, I think that there's some nonsense going on there from General Kane. I do believe that Central Command failed to anticipate what's happening, and now we're dealing with the consequences of it. The failure to seize Kark Island, the failure to impose a blockade of Iran once we had destroyed their navy, the failure of us to continue to destroy their small boats. This is unacceptable. Trump's talk of Venezuela being the 51st state is meaning silence in Venezuela. This is silly talk. Trump needs to knock it off. Twice this week, U.S. President Trump has expressed interest in turning Venezuela into his country's 51st state. No, thank you. No, thank you. We don't want it. Another democratic state and nothing but problems. Crocotopia is here. Wow, I thought you forgot about me. Long time since last popped in. I know. I keep seeing Ronaldo. You keep giving me 10 pounds. You just gave me 10 pounds. Thank you. Emilio Lowe, thank you for the 40 Rand. It's your first Super Chat live. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, people are saying inappropriate things, and I need to deal with this. I'm surprised some of the people are actually saying these inappropriate things. Anyway. So the Trump administration will hold $1.3 billion in payments for Medicaid to California because of its corruption. Vice President Vance said the state had not done enough to fight fraud in the public health insurance program. $1.3 billion in federal Medicaid payments to California not going to be made. The state of California is not taking fraud very seriously, and he's correct, they haven't. They already cut off $259 million in payments to Minnesota. The Senate confirmed Kevin Walsh as the next Federal Reserve Chairman. The vote was 54 to 45 to confirm a 4-year term as the 17th Federal Reserve Chairman. His ascent to chairman was one of the most partisan votes in the institution's century-long history. Senator John Fetterman was the lone Democrat to vote for President Donald Trump's pick. Before the floor vote, Senator Pocahontas Warren, ranking member of the Senate Banking Committee, even though she's a lunatic, said Walsh could erode the Fed's independence. As soon as Donald Trump became president the second time, Mr. Walsh began shouting from rooftops that the Fed should cut interest rates. In exchange for banning his principles, the president offered Mr. Walsh his dream job. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He's regularly been calling for that long before Trump was getting elected. She's so full of it. Her eyes are brown. The United States has dropped the $15,000 visa deposit, which Sir Galahad, or whatever your username here, was whining about last night. Sir Glenn Quagmire. Sir Glenn Quagmire, you were whining about this last night. I don't know why, because the requirement isn't there anymore. The Trump administration will exempt football fans from 50 countries subject to $15,000 visa deposit requirement provided they are traveling to the U.S. for the World Cup with valid match tickets. 5 of these countries, Algeria, Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Tunisia, have qualified for the tournament to be hosted by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. We're waiving visa bonds for qualified fans who bought World Cup tickets. Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs Mora Namdar. What the hell kind of name is that? The bond requirement introduced last year was intended to reduce visa overstays. That is gone now. That is gone. So people whining about this last night were wrong. It doesn't exist. Rights groups have warned travelers that such policies could lead to denied entry, arrest risk, expanded travel restrictions, social media screening, racial profiling, and increased surveillance. Travelers from Ivory Coast and Senegal, both of which have qualified, face partial restrictions under an expanded version of that travel ban. So there you go. Not happening. South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster is expected to announce a special session on redistricting, teeing up the state legislature to pass a Republican gerrymander that would almost certainly cost Democratic Representative Jim Clyburn his seat in this year's midterms. His plan, confirmed by 4 people familiar with the decision who were granted anonymity to share private details, is a reversal of position earlier this month and follows pressure from Trump and his allies to gerrymander the state. But that will backfire on South Carolina. They should not do that. They should not do that. They should not do that. Nearly 2,500 pounds of cocaine, 105 pounds of marijuana seized in joint operation by U.S. forces. Narcotics were being shipped via sea, where 80% of interdictions to U.S.-bound drugs typically occur. In one operation, the Joint Interagency Task Force, South and Drug Enforcement Agency identified a drug runner from Colombia transporting narcotics. They seized these. 9 key rulings coming from the Supreme Court to watch for, folks. Here we go. 9. Birthright citizenship. They're debating the 14th Amendment. It's intent, and hopefully they'll make the right decision. So here's a perfect example of how we're being defrauded. Here is a heavily pregnant Haitian illegally crossing the border and invading America. Allowing her to stay here and pop that child out gives that child American citizenship, which is fraud, and that needs to be stopped. This is a illegal alien, pregnant Haitian seeking to give birth in the United States, caught in Yuma, Arizona in 2021. Girl sports. Whether boys should play in girl sports, this transgender nonsense and lunacy needs to stop. Monsanto's weed killer, the herbicide known as Roundup. That's the one that they're deciding there. Trump's ability to fire bureaucrats. He has the authority to do it, but they're trying to claim he doesn't have the authority to do it. It's ridiculous. The independence of the Federal Reserve. The FTC Act, known as the Federal Reserve Act, said presidents couldn't remove high-level officials without cause. That was the law that Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook cited when she challenged Trump's attempt to fire her last year. She committed mortgage fraud. She denied it, so she was removed. She's definitely getting some kind of fraud. Not exactly a track runner right there. That's her. The definition of election day. 2020 presidential elections reinvigorated debate over mail-in ballots. Election day was the day all voting needed to be completed. The act of voting was not complete until a ballot had been officially received. Well, this is fraudulent. Deportation protections. Yep. Under Barack Obama, the department granted the state temporary protected status for Haitians. They've been impacted by the 2010 earthquake in Syria. But this TPS has been abused, and it should be rescinded. Haiti is unsafe. Well, that's not our fault. That's not our problem. Campaign finance. Yep. McCain-Feingold going to be looked at. And the intelligence quotient of those sentenced to death penalties. Those are the main cases coming up. Well, folks, after 54 years, Disney World is expelled from the top spot in Orlando tourism. I just came back from Orlando. Orlando is booming, but Disney World is not. The rising cost of vacation skyrocketing this year and continuing to climb next year and beyond. There's a worry that visiting the most magical place on earth might be a thing of the past for many. Orlando just broke a tourism record, but Disney World faces a more complicated reality. For millions of families, Orlando is not just another vacation city. It's a place where childhood memories are built, where long-planned trips become once-in-a-lifetime moments, and where theme park fans return again and again, chasing that familiar rush of walking beneath a castle, stepping into a movie. But 2026 has been a strange moment for Disney fans. Guests are already reacting to higher trip costs, shifting crowd patterns, and the feeling that a Walt Disney World vacation now requires more planning, more budgeting, and sometimes more compromise than ever before. Orlando has officially cemented itself as the most visited destination in the United States, welcoming a record-breaking 76.7 million visitors in 2025. Wow. 76.7 million visitors. Wow. Domestic visitation reached a record, climbing 2.2% to 70 million. Overnight stays remain especially strong at 49 million domestic travelers staying overnight in Orlando, representing 70% of domestic visitors. It's a massive win for Central Florida. 76 million people visit Orlando. Wow. Wow, that's insane, folks. That's insane. Let me look at the top tourist arrivals by country. Let's see what they say. It says France is the world's top tourist destination, welcome over 100 million international arrivals. That's bullshit. Orlando had 76 million arrivals. Oh, international arrivals. Okay, yeah, well, maybe that's different. International arrivals. Yep. So France, 102 million in 2024. Spain, 94 million. United States, 72 million. France was up 2%. Spain, 10%. U.S., 8%. Italy had 60 million. Yep, so France, Spain, United States, Italy, Turkey, Mexico, UK, Germany, Japan, and Greece are the top 10. Yep. That's 2016. That doesn't help me. And that's the news for today, folks. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already. Excuse me, something bothered me here. Who would pay to go to France or Spain? Well, I did. I had to watch the Rugby World Cup. It was in France. But honestly, France is not all that appealing. Spain is not even remotely appealing for me. You're welcome, Heidi. You're welcome, Trevor. Well, Sir Glenn Quagmire, you ask a very good question. Why are Mexican cartels in South Africa? Because your inept government doesn't protect its borders, and it's wide open for criminals. Some people just can't behave themselves. Play a song after the news. Sure, I can play a song after the news. I'm not going anywhere.
Union buildings, baby. You thought I was leaving? Ha, it wasn't me. Yeah, yeah.
Tom Jones.
They came knocking at my door, talking scandal, talking war, cameras flashing every night, but I'm still sitting in the spotlight. Dollar bills inside the couch, everybody running mouths. Mr. President, explain. I just smile and dodge the blame. They say the farm became a scene, but politics ain't squeaky clean. Some road cops went chasing fame, trying to cash in on my name. Oh, Julia, stop your shouting. DA, stop your pouting. You can march and you can cry, but I ain't saying goodbye. I will not go. Oh no, I will not go. Like Shaggy said, it wasn't me. They stole my money, stole my show, but I'm still where I wanna be. I will not go. Oh no, I will not go. The Concord talking endlessly. It's business as usual at the ANC, and the president is still me. Ankle Bull was worth the price. 580 grand now, ain't that nice? Mr. Mustafa paid in cash. Too much money, had to stash. Safe was busted, banks were closed. What else could anybody propose? Stuff the sofa, pack it tight. Keep the furniture out of sight. Everybody loves to preach, but power's always out of reach. I'm the captain of this ship, and I ain't about to slip. Fikile, don't even bother. Save your speeches for another. The movement's here and so am I. ANC will never die. I will not go. Oh no, I will not go. You scream corruption on TV, but it's my way or the highway, bro. And this chair belongs to me. I will not go. Oh no, I will not go. You can protest endlessly. It's business as usual at the ANC, and the president is still me. You can wave your little papers, you can hold your big debates, but the man inside the union building still controls the gates. You say scandal, I say survival. You say shame, I say revival. No resignation fantasy. From Falla to Pretoria, this whole thing's history. I will not go. Oh no, I will not go. So get over it and let me be. The ANC is here to stay, and so am I, eternally. Mr. President, still seated, still smiling, it wasn't me.
I think that's one of the better songs we've come up with there, folks. That's one from 2 nights ago. Last night we came up with a No Troll song. Yeah, Mr. President, I will not go. I think that's really good one. I don't know what you guys think about it. But thanks, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you're doing well. Sabby says, this channel keeps me company every day. I'm grateful to be counted among the informed, enrolled students of the Wyatt Academy of Truth. Why would anyone travel all that way and spend all that money to go to France? Heck, 20 minutes. I'm in Joburg, CBD, which looks like Paris these days. Just Cool Stuff loves that song. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I need to make I've got access now to Gemini for video, I think, because I pay an extra. So we'll see if that works. I'll try to create a video to go along with it. I'll try that today and see what happens. If it comes out all right. Received my approval letter on 16 March, then my medicals went under review. Still stuck, says Sally. Yep. All right. You guys want to talk about refugee stuff now. That's not what I'm doing. So we got rugby this weekend. Tomorrow, the Stormers. Snippet says, Sawabona. How are the smoked crabs? They're steamed crabs. They're not smoked. Dropped in for a minute from Ground Zero. That's a headbanger. Yeah, it's a pretty good one, Snippets. Thanks for 35 Rand. And I see you as well. So Sawabona. Yeah, no, I haven't had steamed crabs. Tomorrow would be, they come on the weekend. They don't do them during the week. You can get them during the week if you live in Maryland, but here it's because of cost of transporting. It's a couple hours away. They only come up on the weekends. So yeah, in fact, I haven't looked to see if I've got any email from them yet. Maybe there's something for this weekend. Let me look and see very quickly here. That's the wrong account. Okay. Let's see. There we go. That's the company. Nothing to see. I have no messages from them. Huh. Okay, interesting. Let me try this again. No, nothing. I haven't said anything. I must delete all the last one stuff. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. Whoa, I just got a whole bunch more messages popped in my account here. Like 15 or 20 all at the same time. Literally the same minute. Not seeing anything of interest here, though. Anyway, Allegiant and Sun Country have merged. These are two low-cost airlines. I did a quick check last night. I can fly to Fort Lauderdale for like $100 and some round trip. I was shocked. That's pretty cool. So I may be coming to Fort Lauderdale sooner rather than later, but I'll have to be down in the area for about 4 or 5 days. So I'll have to work this out because they don't come every day. But that'll be out of Harrisburg, too. So maybe I'll be coming back to Florida sometime soon because people wanted me to come to Miami. So I'm looking into that possibility now. The problem is I'm running into some issues here. I've got the election on Tuesday, and then I've got many other things going on. So, yep. Anyway, all right. So samosas. What are samosas for? Oh no, they don't. They won't replace steamed crabs. Trust me, they won't replace steamed crabs. So, NFL schedule. They say the NFL schedule's out. Not that I really care, but let's take a look and see. Schedule. Schedule. Is it out now? December. No, that's old. That's 6 hours. They'll release the NFL's release their schedule in 6 hours. Well, I don't need a big build up for that. I'm not that interested in it. So, samosa. You're safe and sound. Is it cold there? What's Spook? What's going on, Spook? Hasiki, you're out of here? All right. Well, why are you leaving? I could buy Spirit and open Wyatt Air. Yeah. My grandfather was an aviation pioneer. You should do a live while cooking, preparing your crabs. I don't cook them. I buy them steamed. Yep. Yeah, the country version of the Troll song is pretty good. Yep. All right, what else we got here? Anybody else? So... Still trying to figure out the time zones all over America. I take it, Eleanor Ungara, you're in the United States now. Well, we have lots of time zones, but not as bad as Russia. Russia's got a lot more time zones than we do. Crab curry samosa might replace steamed crab. Nope, not going to happen. Steamed crabs are the bomb. Not going anywhere, man. Not going anywhere. Well, YouTube is behind on its data collection here. So, I'm looking to see something here. They're really behind. Well, I'm not talking about that now, am I, Chisigi? I've just avoided talking about it, haven't I? I haven't even addressed it. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I am a Mike Rowe fan, Heidi. I think Mike Rowe's awesome. I love his voice. He's also from Baltimore. He and I are both from Baltimore. Amazing how his voice is very different than mine, and mine's very different than people who live in Baltimore. But that's because I lived all the country. Lewis, yeah, next Texas visit. I'm not sure when that'll be. Got a lot of other places to go. The reason for the Florida thing is it's rather inexpensive. I mean, I can do a flight for a round trip for $200. That's a pretty good deal. And then my rental car cost me about $300 or $400, and hotels $300 or $400. So, yep. Anyway, no electricity. Well, that sucks, buttermilk. So I got back on Monday. I had 65,000 views, 35,000 Tuesday, and 28,000 Wednesday. It looks like this channel is consigned to low views now. Well, thank you, YouTube, for that. That's really what I want to see. But those, I say low views, they're still much higher than a couple years ago. So you can't really complain about that. But we are trending an older audience now. Wow. Only 20% of our audience is below the age of 45 now. It used to be 40%. So I wonder what's driving that. Yes, Loretta, I just said that a short while ago. We have the Stormers tomorrow, and then we have the Sharks, Lions, and Bulls on Saturday. Yeah, Tomahawk, I told you to get out of those things and life will be better, didn't I? Yeah, so we've got Stormers tomorrow, and we covered that earlier. They are playing against Cardiff, and Cardiff is struggling to stay in the running. So Cardiff right now is in 7th position with 50 points. Ulster has 50 and Connacht has 49. Both of them could leapfrog Cardiff this weekend. If Cardiff gets no points, they could get bumped out. But Ulster would have to beat, is it Leinster? And Connacht would have to win their game as well. Both of those are doable. So Cardiff is probably going to make it, even if they lose to the Stormers. Munster will probably make it. The question really comes down to Ulster and Connacht. That's the bottom line here. What happens to Ulster and Connacht? And I think that let's take a look at what they've got on tap here. So Ulster and Connacht. Ulster plays Glasgow, so they have the toughest road here. And then Connacht plays Edinburgh. Connacht can beat Edinburgh, but those are two tough games for them. Actually, Friday's games are all really significant. Friday's games will determine first and second place, and it will determine whether Cardiff, Ulster, and Connacht, whether they're in the playoffs. Cardiff, Ulster, and Connacht. And right now, that's 7, 8, and 9. So those three games make a difference. This is pretty wild. So Ulster beating Glasgow, tough. Connacht beating Edinburgh, doable. Let's say that Stormers win. Glasgow wins and Connacht wins. That means Cardiff, Ulster lose, and let's see what happens there. So Cardiff and Ulster, Connacht moves up. Well, yeah, one of them is going to make it. So if that happens, because it'll be Ulster will get knocked out. So Ulster has really got the toughest match here. They've got to beat Glasgow. They've got to play all out, and they've got to beat Glasgow. It's on the exact same time as the Stormers, so that's going to be tough. I'll be watching the Stormers, but I'll be checking in the Ulster game. Ulster has to beat Glasgow, not just for Ulster to make the playoffs, but for the Stormers to go back into first place. And they've got to get the job done against Cardiff. Connacht has to win too. This is a tough one, folks. This is a tough one for those three teams. Now, the Lions could, theoretically, be out of it as well. So if Cardiff gets a bonus point win, they're at 55 points. They get a win, they're at 54 points. The Lions are at 53. So unless they get a bonus point try, or they get a draw, or they win, so they could get no points. And then Cardiff could leapfrog them into 5th place. Ulster, who is playing against Glasgow, they could get a bonus point victory. That would take them to 55, and that would put them ahead of the Lions as well. And Connacht could beat Edinburgh. And Connacht, with 5 points, would be at 54. All three of those outcomes would mean if the Lions lose and get no points, they would be out of the playoffs. Whew. Only teams guaranteed they're going to be in the playoffs right now are the top 4. Glasgow, the Stormers, Leinster, and the Bulls go into the final weekend guaranteed a finish. Now, the Bulls are on the bubble. They could lose a home quarterfinal. They've got to win. The Lions are on their heels, and so, they're all on their heels. The Bulls have 54 points. They're just 1 point ahead of the Lions. So they're just 1 point ahead of the Lions. So if the Bulls do not win, they could find themselves being passed over. And even Leinster could be captured. I mean, if the Lions and Bulls get a bonus point victory and Leinster doesn't win, both of them could jump ahead. I mean, think about that. Let's say the Lions get a victory here. I don't think a bonus point victory is in the cards for the Lions, but the Lions, they're playing against Munster. So the Lions, let's say Munster, they beat Munster with victory, just 4 points. That would take them to 58. That puts them ahead of the Bulls right now, so the Bulls didn't win, but the Bulls are going to win tomorrow. It puts them at 58 with Leinster, but a bonus point victory would put them at 59. If Leinster doesn't get any points, Leinster would drop to 4th. The Bulls would go up to Leinster would drop to 5th. Excuse me. The Bulls would go to 4th, and the Lions would go to. That would give 3 home quarter. Wouldn't that be amazing? The Bulls and Lions, if they can win, they could move up into position. We can have 3 of the 4 quarterfinal games would be in South Africa. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Wow. Right now, it would be Glasgow versus Ulster, which would be a rematch of this weekend's game. Glasgow versus Ulster, if the thing ended right now for the one game. The Stormers would be playing Cardiff, which is also the same game being played this weekend. Leinster would play Munster, and the Bulls would play the Lions. So in order for that to prevent from happening, they've got to get a little separation here. So wow, we could have 2 or 3 quarterfinals being played in South Africa. It depends on the. This is a huge weekend for URC folks. This is the most consequential weekend of the season right now. My Super Bowl is, I'm slightly ahead, but not great. 72% in one of the pools that I'm doing. I'm not a Mitch Marshall Ox fan, Carl. Doesn't really interest me. Anyway. All right, I start talking about rugby, and we dropped 100 viewers. We dropped 100 viewers. We went from 329 to 229. All right. I got the message. Yeah, Big Fish. Well, I'm hoping all the South African sides win. The Sharks game really doesn't matter, but the other games all matter. So I probably won't even do the Sharks game just because it's, whatever. What are the Sharks going to do? They're playing the Zebra Parma. So that's 7:45. Probably won't do it. That just lets me do the Bulls at Benetton at 10 tomorrow. And then the late game is the Munster and the Lions. So 10, 12. So I'll be able to get the news in after the Bulls game. Yep. So, yeah, I won't cover the Sharks this weekend most likely. What's the point? They're out of it, and Zebra's out of it. There's no impact on us whatsoever. Anyway, so there you go, folks. The quarterfinals will be on the 30th. So there's a short break between. And to be determined, we'll start filling those quarterfinals out tomorrow. The semifinals on the 6th of June and the 20th of June, a couple weeks later, is the grand finale. Let's hope it's at DHL Greenpoint Stadium. It can be, but it might also wind up in Glasgow. So we'll have to see. All right, that's going to do it for today, folks. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your patronage. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already. And I'll catch you later. I got some stuff to set up. If you missed the Carl von Blerick and food sock discussion, please go back and watch that. That was interesting. Tomorrow we have Rob Hersoff on the program. We'll be talking about South Africa and what's going on there. Okay? Rob Hersoff tomorrow at 4:30 South Africa time, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here on the program. Rob Hersoff. Looking forward to it. All right, see you guys later. Take care. There'll be Night Owls later tonight, unless something crazy happens, but I'll be at the Veterans Organization. Oh, no, wait, Night Owl's going to be kind of messed up because I've got Caravan to Midnight tonight, so I've got to figure that one out. I'll probably do a very late Night Owls after midnight and just do it for a short period of time. Okay? All right? You guys take care. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Hit the like button if you don't mind. All righty? Cheers, everybody.